Michelle. Welcome to Spark TV.
Thank you.
So I'm super excited to share your story with everybody. I'm always impressed by the things that you're up to. So thank you for coming on here and having a chat. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Why don't we just start by telling everyone who you are and what you do?
Yes, sure. So my name is Michelle and my business is Meditation Sunshine Coast. I also have Cultivating a Calm Mind, which I'm sort of in the process of transitioning over to. At the moment, I offer mindfulness and meditation coaching, workshops in the workplace. I run a 4-week course on behalf of Mindfulness Works Australia in 3 different locations on the coast. And my passion, though, is running retreats. And next year, I will be offering 5 retreats. So
Wow.
that's what really makes my heart sing, because I get to combine my 20 plus years of event management skills with teaching mindfulness and meditation. And yeah, so that's where my focus is moving towards now.
Awesome. So what the heck is mindfulness?
What's mindfulness? So, I guess in a nutshell, everybody, well, not everybody, but most people probably hear it referred to as being in the present moment, which
Mm.
is part of it. But also, what is the benefit of being in the present moment, I guess, is the key as well, because it's all well and good saying, just focus on what you're
I'm,
doing. And yeah.
I'm here. I'm doing nothing, but
Yeah.
I'm here.
So a lot of anxiety and depression can be caused from thinking about worrying about things that may or may not happen in the future. That's your
Mm,
anxiety, and ruminating and going over and over and over things that have happened in the past, which can cause depression.
mm,
So that's why practicing mindfulness, being in the present moment, is beneficial from that respect. But it's also about being in that present moment without judging the experience that we're having as well, because
mm,
our little minds are negatively geared. It's not our fault. It's intergenerational, it's evolutionary. So we do have to work harder to try and be more positive in that present moment and not looking for things that may or may not be wrong. And then we add to that building our level of self-awareness, and we start to then become a lot more aware of our triggers and our thoughts and our emotions, and build greater compassion for ourselves and
mm.
empathy skills for ourselves and other people as well. So I think it's 3 key things, but yes, it's being in the present moment to stop that mind wandering gives us greater peace. Doing that without judging the experience that you're having, and being more aware of your own thoughts and emotions all at the same time. So nice and easy.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Just that simple, people. No, I love it because I feel like it's one of those skills that is not only a good life skill, but also a good business skill. Like
Definitely.
I always think to myself, when we're talking about people's businesses, like how do we relate this to business owners? But you saying that, I think about myself and my own experiences and exactly what you're saying. Like sometimes you're thinking about, oh my God, what if this happens? Or, oh, I should have handled that differently. And then, an hour's passed and all I've done is procrastinate on
Yeah.
nothing
Yes.
and, not moved the business forward at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
I'm
that's
probably more stressed.
exactly. So yeah, that probably is the opposite of mindfulness, is that procrastination.
Yeah.
But also doing things on autopilot. And once
Mm.
we do start to become a lot more mindful and manage those thoughts, we get to clear some of that mind clutter and become a lot more focused. And that's where it really helps with making business decisions and productivity as well, because you are just a lot more focused, a lot more clarity.
Mm.
Tend to be able to tap into your intuition a little bit more too once we slow down and start listening.
Yeah, and that's interesting, isn't it? I think we talk about intuition or gut feeling or
Mm.
whatever it might be. And so many times as business owners, we have those moments where we're like, oh, this just doesn't feel right. And sometimes we take our own thoughts and feelings, and other times we don't follow our gut.
Yeah,
But it is interesting. I love that thought that when we can tap into mindfulness and be a little bit more self-aware, accessing that gut feeling can be a little
mm,
bit easier potentially.
definitely. So I originally started meditating purely because I was so stressed. I was so
Mm.
overwhelmed with day-to-day life. I was just in a cycle of lots of painkillers for my back, drinking myself to sleep most nights,
Mm.
running a business, looking after two kids, selling my house, and then just getting up the next day and repeat.
Yeah, wow.
Um, so I started practicing mindfulness just to break that pattern of
Mm.
being overwhelmed. But then, probably, I don't know how long later, but, yes, definitely helped with that. It was life changing for reducing the stress and the overwhelm and preventing me from getting there in the first place. But then,
Mm.
yes, then I started to have all these other side effects. So, the creative thought and the being far more productive, and even with my other role as an events manager, if someone had told me 5 years ago, if you just sit there and do nothing for 20 minutes, you'll be more productive, I would have been like, "Pff, I can send
Yeah.
freaking 20 emails in that time,
Yes.
But oh my gosh, it
I
really
hear you.
has. Yeah,
Yeah.
that really has made a difference in all aspects of my life, not just this, managing stress and overwhelm.
Mm. No, and it is really interesting. I mean, I've probably not thought about it from a, mindfulness or meditation, more just I know that if I'm really unproductive, if I'm spiraling, if I can't get anything done, I'm overwhelmed, all that kind of stuff. The only thing that does solve it is stopping.
Yes.
Like sitting there staring at the laptop, willing myself to just work doesn't work. Like I
No.
do have to go away and go for a walk, or occupy my mind with a book that means I'm not focusing in on problems and
Yep.
solutions and all those things. So I love that idea. If someone had told me all I had to do is sit still and not do anything for 20 minutes, I'd be more productive. It's such a smart way to think about it, because I think sometimes when we think about meditation or mindfulness or whatever, even that feels overwhelming. Like, how am I going to
Yeah.
fit in this practice? Am I doing it right? All of the things sort of start to show up. But I love that
Yep.
you just said, doing nothing for 20 minutes could change your life.
Yeah.
Like, that's so cool.
And it's not, you don't, I mean, yes, I love to sit on a pillow with my incense and my, all that sort of stuff and my crystals and, for
Mm.
20 minutes in the morning, where I don't do that religiously every morning. And obviously that's great if that appeals to you, but you don't have to necessarily meditate to practice mindfulness. So
Mm.
mindfulness is just about focusing on one thing that you're doing, not trying to multitask, which isn't a thing. It's just
Mm.
focusing on one thing, and before you move on to the next thing, because that just is far less stressful for your brain and
Yeah.
far more productive. But there's also so many different breathing techniques and a whole bunch of other exercises that you can do that may take 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. So yeah, rather than getting yourself overwhelmed and thinking, okay, I want to start a meditation practice, I have to sit down for half an hour every day. Where am I going to find that time? It's never going to happen. You fall off the wagon
Mm.
after a week. There are breathing exercises that you can start with, just mindful breathing, things like that for 5 minutes a day is better than doing nothing. And it's better than just doing it once a week as well. So it's
Yeah.
all about, it's a little bit like, I liken it to physical exercise. If you do, say, a 5 or 10 minute walk every day, it's probably going to be more beneficial to you than just waiting till the weekend and doing a half-hour walk with your dog.
Yeah. Yep.
But also, the longer you do, the more benefit there is. But you still get some benefit out of the 5 minutes. It's more about building up that bank of resilience and consistency more than duration.
Yeah, and it is interesting too. I always find myself, doing something for 5 minutes, I can kind of get my head around.
Mm.
But then I find once I've got the momentum, sometimes I want to go a little longer, like you'd
Yep.
actually
Yeah.
then, oh, I'm actually enjoying this, or oh, I can see the benefit, or this isn't actually as hard as I thought it would be.
Yep.
And then you'll find that your time might start to increase
It
anyway.
could just be as simple as, instead of eating at your desk, or eating in front of the TV, just taking that meal away somewhere and just sitting quietly, no phone, no
Yes.
nothing, at lunchtime. Just go sit outside for 5, 10 minutes while you eat your lunch. It can be
Mm.
as simple as that. You're just giving your brain a break and just giving it one thing to focus on, and that is eating. And that's
Oh my
it.
God. I literally just ate my lunch in front of the television. I'm sitting as you're talking, I'm like, oh my God, why can't I just have like peace and quiet for 5 minutes?
Yeah, go back to the dining room, sit there, no TV, no nothing, and just eat.
That's so funny.
Just give your mind one thing to do. That's it.
Yeah. Oh my God. It could even be like a nice opportunity to sit in the sun, get a bit of
Yeah,
vitamin D, just
exactly.
totally get outside and away from TV, phones,
Yep.
all of the things, the stress of
Mhm.
the house.
Yep. Because
Oh
we
my
all
God.
say we want to give our brains a break, but half the time it's not all these. Yes, we're being bombarded with external stimulation these days, but most of the time it's actually just our own doing.
Yeah.
It's our own doing, and it's around our own thoughts that are
Yeah.
distracting us, not necessarily, other people or other things or technology. Um, and yeah, we just have to be disciplined. Um,
Yeah. I love that. So that was going to be my question to you. Like, what are the really tiny actions we can take? So I love that eat lunch without distraction
yep.
or electronic device.
Yes.
I love the breathing exercises you mentioned. Any other like
Yeah.
little tiny tips that we can incorporate into our day?
Yeah, so box breathing in terms of the breathing techniques too, there's two you could try. So one is just simply breathing in and out through the nose, and as you're doing it, you can put one hand on your chest and one hand on your tummy and just pay attention to the movement of your chest and your belly. So again, just one thing to focus on while you're
Mm,
breathing. And every time your mind wanders off, which it will, you just bring your attention back to your breathing and back to that movement of the chest or belly. And you can do that pretty much all anywhere, anytime. The box breathing is a really popular one at the moment too. So that's just breathing in for a count of four. You hold your breath for a count of four. You breathe out for a count of four, and then hold it for a count of four. And you just do that a few times. And it's a really good transition tool too. So most of the time we just go from doing one thing to the next to the next to the next to the next. And it's like we just leave this trail of everything we've already done today carries on to the next thing. Whereas if we
mm,
could just do a transition tool like a quick breathing exercise before you get out of the car, before, as you're entering, if you don't work from home, or if you do work from home, if you're going from your home office to the rest of your house, have a bit of a transition tool so you're not carrying through whatever you're doing before to the next thing that you're
mm,
doing. So any kind of transition tool, any kind of little habit, or it could be listening to a song. It could be something like that, just to break up that, transition from moving from one to the next. Turning off
I
notifications is a fun one of mine too. If you're really
love
trying to
that.
work on a project, like if I'm working on an event and I have to get my run sheets done, I turn my email, I shut it down. Shut
Yeah.
my email down, turn my phone, do not disturb, turn it face down so I can't see the screen too,
Yes.
and just really focus on, getting, if you've got a big project to do that's going to take you a couple of hours, it's
Mm.
better just to shut everything else down.
Yeah, I love that because it's kind of what I find is the getting into it is the hard bit. Once
Yeah.
I'm there, I can smash through the task. And I often
Yes.
feel like, that took me about one third of the time that I thought it was going to take.
Yeah.
I just procrastinated for the rest of the time. But if you're kind of not quite into the task yet, as soon as that email
Yep.
notification or text message or something, you just get pulled all the way back to the start.
You do. And you think, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'll just answer that one quickly. I'll just answer that quickly." Next, 3 hours later, you
I still
you
haven't done
haven't
the
done
thing that
that.
you were
Yeah,
trying
you
to
haven't
do.
done a thing that you needed to do.
Yeah.
Um, and that where it comes back to as well, setting realistic to-do list, for the day, for the week, is a really good practice of mine to not get overwhelmed too. I used to have
Mm,
these massive to-do lists that weren't achievable, and then I'd be so hard
yeah.
on myself because I didn't achieve them and overwhelmed. Whereas
Mm,
now I've got a overall probably, yearly calendar of things that I want to do. Then I break it down into monthly, I break that down into weekly, and then I break that down into daily. And
yeah.
it might be just one main thing that I want to achieve each day.
Yep.
Um, and then I like to leave my Fridays free so that if, I didn't get something done, that's kind of like my overflow day.
I love that. Someone once said that to me about to-do lists because I'm a perpetual I will get this 1,000 things done today and then
Yep.
oh I did one and now I
Mm.
hate myself.
Yep.
um fine. They were like, okay, if you realistically look at it and almost time block it in your calendar, right? Just assume everything on the list takes an hour and then time block it. You very quickly see you cannot do all of the
Yeah.
things on your to-do list,
Yeah.
you know? So it is, I do like that piece of advice in terms of really distilling it down into something
Mm.
that's actually achievable. I
And it's
love
getting it all out of your head too. It's
yes.
getting it all out of your head and onto paper just to clear that mind and prevent that
Yeah.
overwhelm.
Totally. I love that. So good. So, how do you find the difference in your two businesses? So, you've been an event planner, organizer extraordinaire for a long time. Is that
Yep.
your own business or working for other people
No,
or
so I freelance. Yeah, so I'm a
cool,
freelance event manager, predominantly for one company, one lady that I've worked on and off for the last sort of 20 years.
cool.
Yeah, actually, my son just turned 18 and I worked for her before I was pregnant. So I was like,
Wow.
oh my God, it's been 20 years. Um, I would say that I wouldn't be able to do one without the other. So, well,
Yeah,
not
cool.
not to the best of my ability. I noticed so pre COVID and pre like a couple of years before that, before I started a regular mindfulness and or regular meditation practice, um, that I probably would have got far more easily overwhelmed and stressed. Um,
Mm,
and I do remember it was at it was an event for Malala Yousafzai, the girl that was shot by the Taliban for speaking up
wow.
on
Mm,
girls' education, and it was probably one of my favorite events I've done. And yeah, I just remember people afterwards just saying, "Oh, you were just so calm and like chilled and everything." And I was like, you know what, you wouldn't have been saying that about me a couple of years ago. So
yeah.
I sort of went from wanting to give that up altogether because it is quite high stress to
Yes.
realizing that okay, practicing mindfulness and meditation and having that business has actually made me better at that job as well.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I enjoy it a lot more. I enjoy it a lot more. Manage my stress levels, and I'm just very organized as well, which helps.
As
But
an
yeah,
event planner, you would be
yeah,
organized.
yeah, have to
You
be.
have to
Yes,
be. Yeah.
definitely. So yeah, I definitely would say without my mindfulness meditation practice, I would have been a lot more stressed and probably sitting under a table rocking somewhere.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes, can relate. And so how have you found then, I guess, the difference between, freelancing and, having somebody else there that might be doing kind of the, bringing in the opportunities a little bit more
Yeah, yeah.
versus having your own
Don't
business where
mind.
you've got to go out there and sell and promote
Yeah,
and do all the
it's
fun business chores.
yeah, the stuff I hate. It's not easy, as you know. And sometimes I do just think, oh, I just want to just pack it all in and go work for someone else so I don't have to, worry about all that side of things.
Mm,
I do have a marketing VA now who is
nice.
absolutely wonderful. So that's probably my biggest recommendation for anybody starting out, especially if you're not a marketer,
Mm,
like me. I'm not a marketer. I can do a lot of my own website stuff and all that sort of thing, but yeah, I don't enjoy doing social media. I really don't. Writing newsletters, that sort of thing. I love what I teach and I love sharing it and I see the difference that it makes in people's lives. So in order for me to be able to keep enjoying doing that, I've now handed off a lot of things to a marketing VA based in the Philippines. So it's affordable for me. She just does 20 hours a week, so she's not full time too. But that's enough for me at the moment to really get those sorts of things out of the way and done. So anybody that's trying to do a slash job too, like event
yeah.
manager slash meditation teacher for me, you
Yes.
do find that once you've done that other, if you have a part-time job, you get home or you finish, and the last thing you want to do is work on your own stuff. So
Mm.
for me,
Especially
yeah,
when
that's
it's the
been
stuff you don't like.
exactly,
Yeah.
and you're already mentally drained at the end of the day. You're not putting your best work in if you are
Mm.
writing any copy or, planning something. So, yeah, I'd rather go work a few more hours doing that to be able to pay for the VA to be doing all the stuff that I don't like to do. And which
Totally.
she's a lot better at, she's a lot better at it as well, which obviously you want. You want someone that's going to do a better job than you.
Mm.
Um, and I've been able to train her up on Kartra and all those sorts of things. And yeah, it's been probably, yeah, definitely one of the best decisions I've made.
That's so good. I love that because, and it's actually really interesting. So I was just chatting to another one of the Spark members, organized by Adrienne. She's a VA,
Yep,
and we were talking about how VAs are such a good bridge to potentially your first hire. Like,
yep,
not, it's really hard, I think, to make the decision to hire a full-time employee. It's
yeah,
such a big commitment and feels like such a big step. But I
mm,
actually love VAs for that
yeah,
reason because you can find people that are just really good at like one little thing that you hate doing,
yeah,
cost effective, and then that is taken off your
mm.
plate. So I think, yeah, the getting somebody to fill in some of the gaps that we have is
Plus, I had just
good
such a long
advice.
list of things I wanted to do that it was going
Mm,
to take me 6 months to do all of
yeah.
that. So, whereas, she's been working for me for 2 or 3 months, I think now, and she's pretty much all caught up on everything. And especially
Wow.
when you do have, you've got your YouTube channel, you got Facebook, you got Instagram, you got LinkedIn, you got newsletters. I want to do a podcast as well. And you would literally
Never
spend
ending.
40, it's never ending. You would literally
Yeah.
spend 40 hours a week just working on that yourself.
Mm.
Um,
And there's
and
a lot
not
of stuff
and
in
not
there.
teaching anything.
Totally. And there's a lot of stuff in there that you don't add value to. Like
No.
you're the thought leader, you're the content creator, the
Yeah.
expert. But when it comes to just making an image or posting
Yeah.
something to the platform, like that's
Yeah.
not where your genius is. So getting somebody else to manage that stuff is such a good idea.
And the challenge is too, it's not necessarily bringing in revenue either.
Yeah,
So,
totally.
I would rather spend more time, focusing on, say, Facebook ads that I know are going to bring me in revenue,
Yep.
and not so much time on, social media and newsletters and all that sort of thing, which,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't, yeah, they're hard to track. So, well, you're the sales expert, so
Well, no, I think
it
it's
can be
actually
hard to
really,
track. Yeah.
it's so good that you say that though,
But
right?
you still
Because
got
I
to do
think
it.
totally. And I think as business owners, we kind of go, well, here's 25 things that I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
But to your point, you're like, I actually know that one is the thing that works for me. So,
Yeah.
yes, I'm going to spend a little bit of time, get a VA to keep everything kind of happening.
Yeah.
But I'm going to focus my attention on the one that I know that really drives ROI for my business.
Yep.
That's just like the greatest bloody marketing sales lesson ever, you know? You don't go do more of the stuff that works. It's that
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah. And starting to,
Unfortunately, you got to figure that out.
put myself out there and generate leads for workshops and things like that. That's my task for November, which I think I set myself a year ago, but I'm finally getting around to it this month.
Oh my God, I love that. Well, and that would work in with retreats and stuff as well, I assume, because
Yeah.
you've obviously got more spaces to fill and things like that.
Yes, exactly. So
Mm,
it's working out, how to fill those spots really.
I
And
love
yeah, and
that.
the workshops too. So my retreats and my workshops, which are probably my two biggest focus and my biggest money generators. So yeah, they're what I need to be focusing on. Well, I get her to do all the other stuff.
That's so good. And that's it. And I think you're the one that knows the value of what you do better than anybody else. So when it has to be more of a one-on-one
Mm,
conversation or an email or something, then it's probably better coming
yeah.
from you. Mm. And is that what
But it
you
also,
find?
yeah, and it also gives me a bit of a boot too, because I think, okay, well, I need to make this much money to pay her every month.
Yeah,
So it's like,
totally.
okay, get my finger out and get some, sales this month.
Totally. There's nothing like a looming bill to keep us motivated.
Mm, yeah.
Oh, that's so good. And is that what you find works well for those higher profile events or retreats, is more of like a one-to-one sales outreach? Is that kind of what you find works a bit better, or what's your approach?
Um, my retreats, it's interesting. So the last one I did, a couple of them came from Facebook ads, which I'd say was probably my biggest generator. But I've got to really think about that now because I have 5 different retreats. So it's like,
Mm,
5 different ad sets is gonna go up there. So yeah, I'm sort of starting to think a little more old school, I guess. Like got some, she's designed a flyer for me, my VA designed a
oh,
flyer for me, which I'm going to print out and take to some local places around the coast where, my um avatar or my customer
ideal client.
or
Yes, love
ideal
that.
client,
Love
yeah, would,
that.
might go and shop. So
Cool.
that's one, yeah, thing, starting to sort of look at those sorts of things. So yeah, retreats, I would say more um Facebook ads, but also a couple of them had been to different classes and that too. So it's
Mm,
interesting. It's like, maybe I should just give up that class. Maybe I shouldn't focus that on anymore. And then you realize, okay, actually, it's that those, I don't know if it's still true, the 7 touch points, or, they have to get to know me before they're going to spend that much money on a retreat and come and spend, 3 days, 4 days, 2 weeks with me. Obviously, they want to get to know me. So
yeah.
that has been interesting too, that, sometimes, it is that you need to do the little things to get the big things as well. They do need to see you on social media. They do need to see you teaching. They do need to get to know you before, committing to something like a retreat.
Yeah.
The workplace workshops, yeah, I think that's going to have to be well, definitely needs to be more of a one-on-one, just approaching local businesses. And I like to focus on health sector. So, aged care resorts, I wouldn't call them resorts, yeah, aged care facilities, mental healthcare workers, and going into their workplaces and running just a 90-minute or a 3-hour workshop for them on how
Mm,
to practice mindfulness in the workplace for less stress. And so that's where I like to go teach, because I feel like they're the stressed industries at the moment, and we
yeah.
can also benefit from it. So that's my focus at the moment.
Yeah, I love it. I'm just always interested because, as to our point, there's so many different approaches that you can take from a
Mm,
sales and marketing point of view. And different things work sometimes, different things work other
yeah.
times. And it's really interesting. People are always like, what do I do? It's like, well, it's hard to say because you got to try a lot of things first to figure out what works. And then sometimes you'll be doing that for a couple of years and then you've got to switch up and change again as
Mm,
something comes up. But even like you said, going old school with the flyers, I'm like, I
mm,
love that because people are all about Instagram. Then there's opportunity over
mm.
here where people are going, oh, I won't do that, because everyone says Instagram's the be all and end all, but it's like,
Yep.
no, this is what my customer's doing and where they are and what they're seeing. So I think that's
Yeah.
so smart. I love that.
Yeah. So we'll see see how that goes.
Report back. I love it.
Yes. Yes.
So good. And I always like to wrap up our podcast with reflecting on your time in business over the
Mhm.
years. Would there be one piece of advice that you would give to a fellow woman in business on their journey?
So I think, yeah, definitely having support. If you can't, I don't know how many people that could do it all themselves.
Mm,
Choosing and yes, you could get yourself trained up. And I've done a lot of courses over the years and trained myself up and have a general knowledge of a lot of things, but I wouldn't say I'm an expert in any of those, obviously, other than what I teach,
yeah.
definitely. But from a marketing perspective, yeah, budgeting for a team, at least if it's a VA or something,
Mm,
somebody that is, I did use Fiverr in the beginning,
yeah.
spent a fair amount on Fiverr getting little jobs and tasks done here and there, which was really good too, because you could budget, okay, at least I can get that done this week or that done.
Yes.
That was a really good way to start as well. And then I transitioned from there to the VA. But yeah, I think definitely having support around you, a team, people that you can go to for, social media, website, anything that you don't have expertise in, that's going to take you, so much more time than if you just paid someone else to do it while you focus on other things. So I guess having that income to support that too. So
Mm,
continuing part-time if you can, but try and drop a day so you at least have a day or 2 days to focus on your own business in the beginning,
yes.
because otherwise, yeah, you just don't feel like it at the end of the day, and you don't want it to become something that you hate or resent before you've even started. There's no internet overnight sensations.
Yeah, there really isn't.
There isn't. For every, successful person you see on the internet, I reckon they've been working behind the scenes for 12 months building their systems and
Oh,
everything, if
if
not
not
longer.
a
Yeah.
decade.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's the other thing too. Yeah.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it's yeah, that would probably be my key thing that I would change if I could, is just have a little bit more capital behind me to enable these things to get done properly in the first place, so you're not then later on having to go back and fix things or change things for SEO and all
Mm,
those sorts of things. Getting all my YouTube videos all redesigned so they look more professional, and
yes. The
hashtags
list is
and
endless, isn't it?
keywords and all those sorts of things. But yeah, you really need to create a project plan to start a business, and just, a little bit at a time.
I love that. I love the trifecta of, planning a little bit at a time, dedicate time. So if you can take a day, or two a week to actually dedicate it to it, and then actually getting support
Yeah.
from, experts or what have you. I think that that's fantastic
Mm.
advice.
And don't spend a fortune on SEO and Facebook ads to start off with. Like,
Yeah.
I see some people spending thousands of dollars a month on SEO, and I just think, oh my God, they're just being ripped. I hope
Yeah.
there's no SEO experts out there to see, but
Well, and I think the thing is in the early days, you can do so much yourself. Like some of
yeah,
the
yeah,
core foundations of SEO is to have your own content online. So
yeah,
if you think SEO is going to be the thing for you, just start writing a blog, and you
yeah,
can do that yourself for free. You
yeah,
don't actually have to get or pay an SEO agency. Yeah, I know. I wonder
yeah.
how many SEO people we have listening, but you can
Yeah,
start early. I think the biggest
yeah,
lesson I've learned with SEO is it's time. It's takes so long. So it's
yeah,
all about getting started early. And you can start writing a blog today for free and have
mm,
content out there around the keywords that you want to,
yeah.
and your keywords. If you're a meditation expert, talk about meditation. If you're
It's
a
why I
sales
called my
expert, talk about
business.
sales.
It's why I called my business Meditation Sunshine Coast. I didn't go for anything fancy or
So good. I love that. It's genius.
imaginative. It was Meditation Sunshine Coast, because what are you going to Google? Like, that
Yeah.
is why I called my business that. So,
So good.
maybe, yeah, and that too. Don't try and think of some unique fancy business name that no one's ever going to remember, or
Exactly.
doesn't have your business name in it. Like my son at the moment, he's just started in a barber apprenticeship, and he's thinking of names he can call his little side business from home, and he's coming up with all these names, and I'm like, you need to have barber in the word in the
Yeah.
name, like, because that's what people are going to search. So
Yeah.
just have a little think too in the beginning when you're creating your business name and all that sort of thing. Have a little think about what people are going to search for
Yes.
before you come up with your business name. I think that's a really important one too.
I love it. I love it. Well, you are absolutely incredible, Michelle. Thank you
Oh,
so
thank
much for
you.
coming on Spark TV and sharing your experiences and wisdom. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. It's always fun to talk to you.